Hey Woodies, Woodpops here. In this episode of Expressions in Wood, I'm going to give you a look at how I inlaid the lizard that I put in the bottom of my Maori Paua lizard bowl. And I'm going to be using, of course, Paua, which is the Maori word for abalone, which is strictly found in New Zealand. And I got mine from the folks over at Easy Inlay. And really nice stuff. I'm also going to be using some of their opal, blue marina. This stuff is gorgeous. You'll want to see how I use it. And also I'm using some of their white calcite, which is really nice. You can get any of this stuff from Easy Inlay. You can get it from Amazon also. Down in the show notes, there'll be links to both Amazon where you can get this stuff and also directly from the folks over at Easy Inlay. Let's jump right in here and let's get started and let's take a look at how I inlaid my lizard in my Maori Paua lizard bowl. All right, let's go. I have carved out about half of my lizard. The other half, I'll carve that out once the inlay for this half has been completed. You'll see where that comes in handy as we progress. The first thing I'm going to do here is outline the body of the lizard with the black jet. My preferred method in doing this is to spread the material out on the outside of the inlay part and then move the material into the carved areas with a small brush. I'm trying to keep the jet from getting into the other areas of the inlay. I don't want to have to clean out the little arrowhead shapes or any place else to get rid of that black jet. I just want it right there in the outline. So I'm going to use this little brush just to move it in slowly. I take my time. I'm not in a hurry. As you can see, I've got the tail outlined and I've got very little black material in the little arrowhead shapes. So, mission accomplished. Let's move this along. Here's what I've done. I've outlined my lizard head with my black jet, making sure the black jet just comes even with the surface of the wood. The body down here, I've done the same thing. These little tattoos right here on his legs and on these right here, I've just filled them in with black because that's what I interpret them as is Maori tattoos, which are black. That's here and here, 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 and here. And what I've done is I've taken some of my bigger pieces of Paua, like this one here, and I put it in my coffee grinder and I ground it up and I ended up with this Paua right here that you can see the iridescence. And I'm going to put that in his eyes.
See that iridescence?
I want this paua just to come up so that it's just even with the surface of the wood. That way, when I put the Starbond superfine CA glue in there, it will cover the paua. I want you to see the paua like you're looking through a very thin piece of glass. It seems a little bit of the paua has spilled over into the black jet on the outline of his nose there. I want to get that out. I like keeping my materials separate when I'm doing an inlay like this. I don't like them spilling over and blending in with each other. In my opinion, it makes for a sloppy inlay.
Okay, I'm going to use some of this really pretty green for inside of his head. I don't want to get any of this anywhere but inside his head. Look at that. Oh man, I just ruined that.
Now I gotta clean his eye out and redo all that. This is difficult.
Hard to color inside the lines.
I'm pinching just a little bit of material. I want to try to get some of that green goldstone right in there where it needs to be without getting in other areas. In that spot right there where the red arrow is pointing, we're going to put our opal, the blue marina. So I got to make sure that nothing gets in that spot and I keep it relatively free.
The hard part is getting the material to the place you want it without getting it anywhere else. This is Marina from Easy Inlay. They gave me this. I'm going to try to get a little bit right there in his head. But first, I want to put a little black in there to highlight it. Man, that's hard to do. I didn't want any in the green. Oh, that's pretty stuff. Look at that. Okay, this right here, this is white calcite that I dyed blue. And I just want just a touch. How am I going to get it in there and not get it in the green? Ooh, tricky.
Because these pieces are way smaller than the opal, they'll fall down to the bottom of the carved out spot, and then when you add the CA glue, it'll make the background dark, and the foreground you'll be able to see that opal much better.
Wow, that's tricky. What do you think? Probably can't see that. Okay, I'm going to put a little fuchsite in his paws, claws, whatever, feet. That's fuchsite. It's a pale green.
I'm putting green goldstone in his toes. It's kind of glass-like with sparkly stuff in it. Really pretty when the light catches it. Putting the crushed stone in the rest of what we have carved is pretty much more of the same. So let's jump ahead to where that part is all finished. And now we come to the interesting part where we carve and inlay the middle of the body.
Okay, we've got that inner part all inlaid and sanded. Looks pretty good, pretty happy with it. So now we're going to cut some of this inner wood out and put some paua in there. That's going to be my next step.
This part of his body between the outside line there that's black jet and that inside line there that's pale blue, we're going to carve all of that out there, and that's where we're going to put more paua. We put a lot of paua in the arrowhead shapes in the tail, but we didn't see that part. I'm going to use this pencil to draw in some lines to show me where to cut. You probably can't see it, but what I'm going to be doing here is cutting around the inlay that we've already put in. I cut this part out after it's already been inlaid so that there's a crisp definition between the two inlays. If you don't do it this way, what happens is your materials run together and your super glue causes the colors to bleed, and you end up with blurry lines and not crisp ones like we want. We're going to start right here on the side of the body, and we're going to remove this wood between the black line, which is jet on the outside, and that pale blue inlay on the inside. All of this inside here will be inlaid with the Paua. Okay, we're going to jump ahead here because all I'm doing now is just hogging out this part. You don't want to see that, it's pretty boring. Notice I'm using an angle here. I'm not cutting straight. I want to use the blade to get in this tight spot. And I want it to track nice and slow. As you can see right here where I'm pointing my finger, I'm carving out the inside of the body between the outside line and that inside line. Carving this part out right here. This I'm going to inlay Paua right in here because I like how that looks. This pretty stuff up here, this pretty blue stuff, that's the Marina compliments of Easy Inlay. The people over there gave this to me. This is beautiful stuff. They also gave me the Paua I'm using. It's absolutely gorgeous, as you can see there. And it looks really good out here in the tail where I put it in the tail. And you'll be able to see as we go along. So I'm going to put the Paua right here inside this body. That's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to inlay that. I haven't decided what I'm going to do in here yet. You know, this is a progress in work for me. That's the way art is. I don't do stuff by a blueprint that I lay out in the beginning. I get started on it and I let my creative juices flow and just it takes me where it takes me, right or wrong, art or junk. I don't know. You be the judge. I'm going to change bits. I'm going to use my dovetail shaped bit to hog out this middle part. Really takes it out quick. Going right through that. The other nice thing about this dovetail shaped bit is I can make a flat bottom. Normally when I'm doing this, I don't lay my tool over like this. I keep my tool straight up, perpendicular to the wood surface. But if I did that, you wouldn't be able to see anything. My hand would be in the way. So I've kind of learned to use this tool at an angle. Okay, as you can see, I've got this all cut out. I'm ready to do my next part of inlay. Okay, but before we do that, remember all of this in here was sanded. We sanded it right down to the bare wood to get this inlay exposed. So that means that I have to coat all this again with shellac to keep the CA glue from staining around my lizard. So I'm going to do the shellac thing right now. Watch this pop.
Look at that Paua. Look at this Marina here. This is all back here in the tail. That's Paua, crushed up in a coffee grinder. So those are little tiny chips of Paua, the way they came out of my coffee grinder. Pretty sweet. The Maori Paua lizard bowl. Okay, here's my Paua after I've crushed it in the coffee grinder and grated it. So you can see I got 4 different grades of Paua. And since this Paua is so expensive, what I'm going to do is lay a fine layer of white down here to build it up, white calcite, or maybe some blue. Oh yeah, let's build it up with some of this blue. Yeah, I like that. Okay, I want to get the big Paua, as big a pieces as I can, and put them in these larger areas. Okay, now we want to fill in with the smaller. Now we got the even finer. Ready to flood that with CA glue. We have to decide what we're going to do up here on our head. Okay, very carefully.
I'm going to add this Starbond super thin CA glue now till I can see the surface of the CA glue right up there with the crushed stone, but not so much that it overflows into the surrounding bottom of the bowl.
Okay, we're going to let that dry for 24 hours.
Well, our lizard has been drying for several days. I put it back on the lathe. I sanded all of the crushed stone inlay down to the wood, and I've polished it all the way through 5,000 grit sandpaper. And this is what it looks like. Alrighty, that concludes this episode. Be sure and watch the next one, which is inlaying the rim. So that wraps up the crushed stone inlay of our Maori Paua lizard. I hope you enjoyed that detailed look at how I accomplished that. And in the next episode, we're going to be doing the detail of the crushed stone inlay of the rim, and that'll complete the series. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you did so. Click my little picture right there. I've got 2 videos lined up for you right over there. Check them out. And until the next time, this is Woodpop saying, see you around.